And welcome back to Katana TCG. In this week's early deck preview, we're going to be looking at a couple different ways to apply Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR in the current standard format. Let's get into it. When it's time to flex on your opponents in Top Cut this season, or even just upgrade your TCG accessories, make sure you're checking out inkgaming.com. They have a wide variety of custom playmats, custom dice bags, face masks, as well as mouse pads too, and a grip of sleeves and dice and deck boxes, all your TCG accessory needs. And you can use the code DADSPOD10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order from inkgaming.com. Your game, your style. Since I have 3 lists to show you today of how we can apply Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR in the current standard format, I'm just going to read off what Hisuian Typhlosion V does. That way we can better understand why it's applied in 3 different fashions in 3 different decks. So Hisuian Typhlosion V, 210 HP basic psychic Pokemon. For no energy does Singe. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. For those unfamiliar with status conditions, burn does 20 damage. At Pokemon checkup in between turns, and if your opponent flips a coin and it lands heads, they are no longer burned. If it's tails, that status condition stays until they switch out of the active, and then into the following checkup they would take another 20 if they were unable to switch out. And then for 2 psychic and 1 colorless, it does Petrifying Flame for 120 damage. You choose a random card from your opponent's hand, your opponent reveals that card and shuffles it into their deck. Typhlosion is weak to dark, has a resistance to fighting, and a 2 retreat cost. Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR, 260 HP VSTAR Pokemon for 2 Psychic and 1 Colorless. It does Hollow Flame for 180 damage, and you put 3 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. A lot like Dragapult, it has a pretty good at face attack as well as the ability to spread damage counters, so things like Manaphy do not bother Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR. And its V-Star power for 1 Psychic Energy, Shimmering Star. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 4 damage counters on it, it is now knocked out. We're seeing a lot of things like Beedrill in the format right now that have the ability to knock things out without dealing damage, just having specific requirements on the active Pokemon. And it's really easy to spread damage counters around right now with things like Zigzagoon, Quick Shooting Inteleon, and things like Hollow Flame that allow you to spread damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. They only need to be in the active and they need to have 4 damage counters on them exactly. In this first list, we'll show you how it compare with Dragapult VMAX to become a very effective secondary attacker in a list like this. Dragapult VMAX has the max Phantom attack for 2 Psychic Energy, dealing 130 damage, and you put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. So already you're able to select 1 Pokemon in the future to put 4 damage counters on it exactly to knock out with the Shimmering Star attack. You'll see in this list because Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR and Dragapult both benefit from Psychic Energy and other Psychic Search cards. We're running a little higher count of the Fog Crystal to be able to search out those things when we see necessary. And we are also running the Quick Shooting Inteleon as well as the Scoop Up Nets to help us kind of reutilize this and potentially choose maybe a late game attacker to apply the Shimmering Star VSTAR attack in that fashion. Because we're able to operate so freely with Path to the Peak in play, I think that the combo of Path with Roxanne, especially in this deck, is going to be so incredibly powerful. And that's why we also run the One of Palpad to be able to maybe put them in uncomfortable situations in multiple turns and limit their resources in their hand. This next list is a little spicier and it has everything to do with spreading damage counter and really putting your opponent in uncomfortable positions by just spreading a whole bunch of damage without Manaphy being able to stop it. Mimikyu VMAX appears to be the partner of choice in this specific list for 2 colorless, which can be fulfilled with double turbo energy. Ominous Numbers, you put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like, already has a significant amount of synergy with the Shimmering Star V-Star attack. And if you played Acerola's Premonition from your hand during this turn, place 13 damage counters instead. This has the ability to just wipe out 2 Sobbles without thinking twice, and I think that that is pretty powerful in a format like this. For 2 Psychic Energy, it also does Max Shadow for 120, and you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. It is unfortunately weak to Dark. It does have a pretty good resistance in terms of fighting, and a single retreat cost, which makes it relatively nimble. For those who need a refresher, Acerola's Premonition is a supporter card that we got in Brilliant Stars. Your opponent reveals their hand, you draw a card for each trainer card you find there. With a lot of the shady dealings lines around in the format right now, they're playing heavy counts of Evolution Incense, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, as well as Level Ball to get that line out more consistently and really have follow-up item search the following turn. So it's very, very likely that you're able to draw quite a few cards, and you're able to see your opponent's resources at phase 2. So I think it's a great multifaceted card that boosts the amount of damage counters that you're able to spread with Mimikyu VMAX. We also follow up the whole core of spreading damage counters by playing 2 Quick Shooting Inteleon. We're playing 4 Horror Energy, and as long as it's attached to a Psychic Pokemon, it provides Psychic Energy, and if the Psychic Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack, you put 2 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon, which is very, very helpful. Now we also play a 1 of Cemetery. When any player attaches an energy card from their hand to one of their non-Psychic Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Again, it has a ton of synergy with the Shimmering Star VSTAR attack. The one spicy tech that I kind of threw in here because I thought it kind of fits the bill in terms of spreading damage counters is this Galarian Rapidash V. It's Libra Horn attack for 2 colorless, which can be fulfilled with double turbo energy. You put damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon until its remaining HP is 100. Now we're softening things up a whole lot with Galarian Rapidash V, and we have the potential to hit that 100 damage mark with things like the Max Shadow, with things like Spooky Flame. We can even Psychic to get there too, but realistically, putting our opponent at 100 HP with the ability to utilize things like Quick Shooting Inteleon or Horror Energy and Old Cemetery, they might end up putting the damage counters on them themselves and knocking themselves out. So I think that it's multifaceted, it's very searchable with the Fog Crystal engine, and I'm actually more keen on this list than any other. And last but not least, the most cookie cutter of the 3, I'm going to partner it with the Arceus VSTAR. The Trinity Nova attack for 3 colorless allows us to hit for 200 and search our deck for 3 basic energy cards and attach them to our Pokemon V any way you like. This has the potential to set up Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR very fast so we can turn it into a great secondary attacker. Now we do play the Quick Shooting Inteleon and we do play the Galarian Zigzagoon, as well as streamlining a couple of scoop up nets to hopefully get off the Heat Haze Star if we needed to. However, in most instances, we're going to be utilizing Starbirth, and we're hopefully swinging for weakness with things like Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR in this particular list. It has the ability to function very easily with Path to the Peak after you've utilized Starbirth, but otherwise, I think that this might be the most force-fed way to kind of play Hisuian Typhlosion, but it may still see the most success because of how good Arceus VSTAR is. I hope you enjoyed these videos of how I would apply Hisuian Typhlosion VSTAR into the current standard format. I really think that this card has a lot of potential. It doesn't quite have the most suitable partner. I really think the Mimikyu list is going to be the most fun. It will get caught in the dark crossfire in the form of Samurott and Darkrai, really taking the format by storm early, but I think as things shake out, there will be a home for Typhlosion VSTAR in the future. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, comment which deck you want to see next week, and then subscribe to my channel. Eventually we'll get back to our Twitch streams. I know I sound super repetitive in getting back to this, but I did just get over COVID, so I'm kind of working on getting my voice and my energy back. I will catch you guys later. Deuces.